welcome to the Thai Society. Here we talk all things chronic illness, and today I'm going to be talking about the brand Visible and how I've found their product. I've been using it for almost a month now. I've actually got it on currently, and it's basically just this band that kind of tracks your heart rate, and it's meant to help with pacing ME/CFS symptoms. It does help with others, however, obviously as someone with ME/CFS, I've been using it with ME/CFS in mind. But it basically is meant to help you pace and help you manage your symptoms better. So that is what I've been testing for almost a month now. It's a subscription-based company, so you buy the band and then you pay a subscription every month to use the app to the full extent that it offers. There is a free version, however, it isn't quite as good at kind of like the tracking purpose of pacing. So I previously did an unboxing video of this. So if you want to watch that, go check it out after this video or before. And yeah, so this is going to be the review of what I thought about it. When I do this kind of video, I often ask myself 3 questions: what I thought of the product, will I be reusing it, and would I recommend it? And that's what we're going to be going over in this video. So how have I found it? It has been interesting. I've enjoyed finding out about it and finding how it works. I found it interesting to see what my heart rate is doing certain activities, and it does like a morning and evening check-in. And so in the morning it tracks, I can't remember what heart rate it is, it will be on the screen here, but it's like a different type of tracker, and it kind of is predicting how your energy is going to be for the day based on these measurements that it takes at the beginning of the day. Normally mine has been on 3 majority of the days, for like out on a scale of 1 to 5 it's been on a 3, which kind of just suggests, you know, don't push it but you're doing all right kind of thing. And so it's been interesting to see. The evening tracker has been interesting, being able to, in the evening, you kind of list all the symptoms you've gone on like a scale of how they've impacted you. And that's quite interesting as well. I found it nice to be able to track those more consistently because I don't really keep track of it that often. So it's been interesting to see what my symptoms have varied on day to day and what different factors that could be linked to. So yeah, I found it interesting. It's easy to use and follow. And yeah, I found it interesting to just try out, I guess. Yeah, I didn't know what I'd expect going into it, but I have found it really interesting. So, will I be renewing my subscription or using it again? Currently, probably not. As I said, I found it really interesting. However, I would say I've been ill almost 7 years, and over that 7 years, I would probably say that I've got quite good at pacing. I know my energy, I know how to manage my body the best I can, and it's got a bit better over time, and I've been able to just manage it better. So I would say for the purpose of this, I don't actually need it really, because it's all about tracking and pacing, and I've already know how to do that kind of to the best of my ability. So while it was interesting, I probably wouldn't use this. I would say it's nothing that my Apple Watch can't do. Really, all I found interesting that I would take on a day-to-day basis was the heart rate, and my Apple Watch can kind of do that. And I normally do wear my Apple Watch, and I normally oh yeah, my heart rate's quite high right now. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say it did anything overly crazy for me that means I do need to renew my subscription. I did also find it a little bit annoying because basically one of the parts it has this like activity zone and overexertion zone, and it's kind of monitored by your heart rate, and it sets like a limit of kind of like when your heart rate's above this limit, you're in the overexertion zone. And I think my overexertion zone was like 119 beats per minute, which is really quite low for me. Even when I like stand up, it basically goes above that. And so yeah, I don't know, I just found it a bit annoying when literally every time I stood up it would just go off. And so at that point I kind of stopped watching the notifications, and I would just find it a bit annoying because I knew that every activity I did, it would be in the overexertion zone. And then the pace points didn't really work either, because they have pace points so you can kind of budget your energy, which is a good idea in theory, and I like the ideas in theory. I just think it was a bit sensitive to my body. And I wish I could have like adjusted it and made it different, because I got 7 pace points a day, and every time I even stood up, pace points would be gone. So by even like 10 o'clock in the morning, I was already like at like 3 pace points for the whole day. I just felt like it was a bit sensitive, and I would have probably found it more beneficial if I had been able to kind of change that a bit. I said, or one of the notifications at one point said like, you know, would you like to adjust this? And I said yes, and I tried to adjust it, but I'm pretty sure it only went up like 1 pace point, and I'm like, it's just a bit low for me, and yeah, I found it a bit irritating just how it would, everything I did was in the overexertion zone, so therefore I didn't really listen to it because I knew that it would tell me anyway. So yeah, like I said, my pace points were kind of like at 7 maximum a day, but most days I was at least 10. And then on a really big day, I was like, some of my days were up to 20 pace points, which is mental. And those were the days where I'd be like dying and really, really exhausted. My symptoms would all be like really high. And after that, I would have to have rest days. But on a daily basis, my pace points were about at a 10. And so yeah, for 7 being the maximum, it got a bit irritating. So yeah, like I said, I like the concept, but I just think some of it's a bit sensitive for what my body is able to manage and what I know how to pace for. So I think if I was just following it blindly, I wouldn't do as much in a day than I feel like I am actually capable of, just for my own pacing. Okay, so would I recommend it? Yes and no, depending on the situation. If you're already good at pacing, if you already know how to manage your body, this isn't going to do much that you don't already know. I would say it probably isn't worth the money. For a minimum subscription of about $10.99, I think if you do an annual subscription, it's like $10.99 a month, I think. And if you do it monthly, then it's $14.99, I want to say, I think. And so it's quite an expensive subscription. So if you already know how to pace and you don't feel like you need any help in that, I would say this probably isn't going to do anything majorly for you. That's my experience. I think it's a bit sensitive for my body type, from like how I manage my energy, and yeah, nothing that my Apple Watch can't really do for me, I would say, with my heart rate. That's all I really monitored, my heart rate. If you're new to ME/CFS though, I would say it's a different case. I would say if I had had this when I first got ill, I think I would have benefited from it. I think it could have been interesting and could have helped me. And maybe it being more sensitive would have been a good thing, because when I first got ill, I was more severe than I am now, and therefore it being more sensitive would have protected me a bit more and helped me build up that energy. I don't know. But yeah, I think if I was newer to ME/CFS, I would recommend it. If you don't really know how to pace yet, or this is all new to you, maybe look into it. If you can afford it, I would give it a go. See if it does help you. But I would say if you know how to pace, probably not. Adapting to this new version of life where your energy is very, very low, the budgeting and the pacing, it's actually really interesting and would be beneficial. One thing though, I did see some people say on TikTok when I posted about me trying this visible band out, they did say that they got used to using its pace and then they actually couldn't pace without it. So be aware of that, make sure you're able to do it without if you choose to not use it. However, I have also heard a lot of good things that people say they live by it, they swear by it. So I do think this is a good product. I just don't think it worked quite as well for me. I think it was just that bit sensitive and a bit annoying. And like I said, I probably don't need it as I already know how to pace. But I do think it is a good product. I think I like the concept. I like the logic behind it. I would say I would probably give it a bit more time. I know they're still working on it. This isn't like that old. This is pretty new. The owners of the brand actually followed me on TikTok, and they were commenting on like the TikTok I posted about this, and they said how their goal is to get it into the NHS and be like part of the healthcare system eventually. So I would love that. When you get diagnosed, you get given one of these and you get to try it out. I think that would be fabulous, but obviously they're not quite at that point yet. It's still pretty new. So I think maybe over time they'll adjust it, maybe it will adapt, maybe it will grow bigger, and then I would love to revisit it. But for now, probably not something I'm going to be using. However, like I said, if you're new to ME/CFS, this could be worth trying out and just seeing how you get on with it. It could be beneficial, it could be interesting for you to be able to track your symptoms. If you're trying to get diagnosed with ME/CFS, if you suspect that's what you have, this could be an interesting product to try out for a month. And take the results to your doctor. It does track every single evening. You get to track the different symptoms that you've experienced and the severity of them. It tracks your heart rate, and so it does track parts of your body that your doctor may not necessarily know to ask or be able to do tests for. And it could be a good way to kind of give evidence, being like, yeah, this is the symptoms I'm experiencing on the daily. Never thought. So yeah, I did really enjoy using this. I found it really interesting, but I personally won't be reusing it. But I do still think it's a pretty good product and worth using if you're new to ME/CFS. So yeah, thank you for watching today's video. like I said, I do like the product, just won't be using it myself. But it's been really interesting. I did do a month subscription to give it a full go. My month runs out in literally a few days, so I wanted to just get this video out there, let you guys know what I think. I will be using it until the end of the month. I do find it really nice. It's easy to charge. You just charge it overnight, really easy. I wear it in the shower because like you're allowed to, so you can even track your heart rate during the shower and see how much spikes, which is always interesting. Yeah, it's easy. You know, t-shirts cover it up. It's not that big a deal. I wore it with this kind of top just out in London. No one cared. No one looked at it. No one cares. Yeah. You can even bedazzle it if you want, decorate it or something. But yeah, it was interesting. I found it fun, and probably the best product I've tried so far that is somewhat beneficial. The rest haven't been any good so far. So I did enjoy trying this one out and feeling like I can give somewhat of a good review, even if it's not necessarily for me using it in the future. Other people, try it out. So yeah, that's the visible band. It's really easy to get. Like I said, you do have to pay a subscription every month and pay for the band itself, which can be expensive. I think it's about £50, which is expensive, but if it will benefit you, it's kind of worth it. So there we go.